Kevin, based on your research, the ninth biggest market for polyethylene film is agricultural film. Uh,
Yes,
can
sir.
you define what that means and basically what's going on in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. So ag film, not unlike our construction film chapter, is a little broad. We really break ag film into 6 different markets, and I'll go through those real quick, Jim, just a high level. We look at mulch film, greenhouse film, fumigation and sterilization, like pest control type film, Jim, crop storage and silo film, which obviously this time of the year in the Midwest is being used heavily with harvest time. We also look at water and soil conservation film, and then more often than not, we'll roll the others into more of a miscellaneous type film, just which captures kind of a catch-all type piece there. And when we look at the ag film business, I mean, it's ag film. The global film market, just ag wise, you're looking at a multi-billion-dollar industry. Obviously, here in the U.S. and Canada, where we focus our research, there was a little over 625 million pounds of resin consumed in the ag film industry for our data collection project. We profiled 21 different companies, Jim, that manufacture ag film.
And what are the materials and technology trends in this market?
A great question. So when we think about just the construction of the film itself, we're seeing about 86% being blown film, and then about the balance, say 14%, is cast film. That's very consistent from when we last collected this data 3 years ago. So we see a lot of consistency there. And when we're looking at just the polymers themselves, the resin that is the primary resin for ag film, not unlike the construction film, is a linear low. So really up there, you've got more hexene and octene that really are the primary piece of this. So in linear low is about 77% of that volume, and then followed by low density, and then followed distant by high density. And we have a little more PCR captured in this piece here. So I know obviously we think about sustainability being a key piece of this. It's not as prolific, if you will, in the ag film business. When you think about how they're used, and if it's fumigation or other different things, the ability to reprocess that film or use it in another, to recycle it, is challenging.
Right.
But we did do a lot of research this time around and added some sections around sustainability, as everyone wants to talk about that most popular word of the day.
Right.
And this is one of the markets where it's the companies are doing what they can through the production process, but not necessarily post-production and post-sale.
Right. You know, the whole silage film segment is kind of interesting to me, because I remember years ago, I was told that at the time, this is going back maybe 25, 30 years, silage film was not really particularly strong in North America versus Europe, because in North America, the farms tend to be bigger and they tend to have silos. But I could tell you that over the years from driving around, I have seen a lot of silage film, in these farms wrapping product.
It is more prevalent, and I can use a real world example. As my wife's family still farms a few thousand acres. So one of the farms, I was there a couple of weeks ago, they do silage, cut silage, and there's 2 of those big silage bags on the farm there, and they use a front end loader to feed the cows from that. And they didn't used to do that 15, 20 years ago, but much more prevalent. And that's a very, very strong film, high mill type film.
Is it mostly monolayer as well?
It is mostly monolayer. And I think the other thing we think about ag film, one of the big impacts, Jim, is weather. What's the weather like? And when you've got a severe drought and when it's extremely wet, both sides of that coin impact the demand. And when we look at ag film, I talk about it being a 600 million pound market. It's got a growth rate of around 3.5%, which is a fairly robust growth rate for a very mature market, given where we're at today.
Okay. Kevin, thanks very much for your time. Folks, make sure you tune into our next installment, when we'll be looking at the 8th largest market for polyethylene film. I call this a countdown. It's actually a count up. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Jim.